Preparémonos para el futuro. El agro ahora, con Óscar Osorio Casal. Para el futuro. El agro ahora, con Óscar Osorio Casal.
Hola amigos, soy Óscar Osorio Casal. Y en el día de hoy tenemos un invitado especial gracias a los amigos de Panamá Rainwater, una compañía que está muy dedicada al tema de captación de agua, tiene algún tema de biodigestores y está muy enfocado en proyectos sociales, sobre todo al tema del agua. Ellos han traído y trajeron pues a Panamá a un experto de Londres que ha trabajado en diferentes países como Alemania, Holanda, en algunos países de América Latina, especialmente para trabajar en el tema de conservación de agua, abrevaderos, todo el tema de captación de agua a nivel de tanques, pero también a nivel de liner. Y con él pues realmente vamos a tratar de conversar, porque justamente en este momento es donde estamos pasando problemas por el tema, algunos dicen cambio climático, otros dicen simplemente que es un fenómeno del Niño, pero lo cierto es que el agua siempre será el factor predominante para cultivos, para ganadería, para lecherías, para cerdos, productores de sal, que todo este tipo de rubros se enfocan al final en el uso de sal. Así que hoy está con nosotros Simon Jones. Simon, welcome to Panama.
We started in 1951, so we are 72 years old, or 72 years young, and we have been working with membranes and plastics for 72 years. And our focus has always been on horticulture and agriculture and the development of barrier technology. So we are very good at keeping water in or keeping water out. And it can be water, or it can be animal waste, or it can be wastewater, or anything like this. It's all about creating a barrier. And what we have done is we have developed a market focus in Europe, and that was taken as more global. And we now have a global strategy of getting closer to our customers and working directly with distributors, but also setting up our own businesses. So we have businesses and factories in East Africa, in Kenya, in India, in Canada, and also in Mexico. And we're looking for more locations. The question of water and the products that we have in terms of storing water and giving control of water are essential in today's environment. It is a resource which is recognized as being important, but still there's not enough emphasis on that recognition. There's not enough emphasis on the actual management and control of water as a resource.
Simon, en Panamá creo que has podido visitar algunas áreas de Panamá, sobre todo Panamá Oeste. Panamá es un país de mucha lluvia. Y realmente yo creo que estamos desperdiciando una oportunidad de oro de captar agua de lluvia, porque también hay otros métodos, como lo son sacar agua directamente de las profundidades para tener abrevaderos hechos en tierra. Hoy en día se habla de sistemas de liner, estamos hablando de uso de tanques también. Háblanos un poquito de lo que has podido ver en Panamá a tu llegada?
When I was a child, I seem to remember, many years ago of course, but I seem to remember that we had rain for 3 or 4 days, and it would be light showers, and it would replenish our rivers and water our ground. And I think it's the same worldwide now. The weather systems are unpredictable. We are now getting the same amount of rain that we've always had, but we're getting it in very short rain events. So what we had in 3 days, we can now get in 1 or 2 days, or even half a day. That causes erosion, it damages the ground, it dilutes the nutrients in the ground, so the soil quality is reduced. And at the same time, if you're not controlling runoff, then you get erosion, you get new paths, you get water damaging, heading towards the river in its own way. Collecting water from the roof, collecting water from the sky, firstly it's good water, it's clean water. It gives you a reserve for when you don't have water, and there will be periods when we don't have water.
Tú has trabajado en diferentes tipos de proyectos. ¿Cuáles han sido los proyectos dentro del sector agro que más has estado trabajando en el tema de agua?
When I've traveled a lot around the world, and I see some very interesting projects. And the core of these projects is that horticulture is becoming more professional. I see very large greenhouses, much larger than we had 10 years or 15 years ago. Very large projects which need huge amounts of water. What this means is that we have to build lagoons, we have to put tanks in, we have to collect the water from the rain, from the sky. We also have to collect the water from the rivers. And a typical system can be 100 hectares of greenhouses for cucumbers or tomatoes or peppers, and then a series of lagoons where we're collecting the water, letting the water settle, letting the water cool, and then pumping the water and filtering the water into tanks. Now, the big move in the last 5 years has been total control of these lagoons and total control of these tanks. But when I say total control, I mean that they are closing the tanks. So they treat the water at source. So they are protecting and closing the lagoons, so they are protecting it from algae, protecting it from evaporation. One of the big keys to resource management is to understand where you spend your money. If you have a large lagoon that has evaporation, and I hear in Panama evaporation of up to 7%, if you have 7% evaporation, you're wasting 7% of the money you're spending on your pumping into that lagoon. And there isn't the margin anymore within the food industry in order to support that.
En Panamá normalmente hemos estado acostumbrados a hacer abrevaderos en la tierra. Hoy en día se está utilizando la técnica de cubrir estos abrevaderos con liner para poder evitar un poco la evaporación. ¿Qué dimensiones o qué tamaños de abrevaderos has construido tú?
It's interesting in Panama because you have a real mix of industry. You have quite large growers that need a large water source, and you have small growers and small farmers that maybe have 10 or 20 or 30 cows. They also have some small greenhouses. They grow some fruit in orchards. So there are almost 2 levels of approach. For the large grower, it makes sense to have a large lagoon, again with tanks. A large lagoon could be 10,000 cubic meters. And a lagoon like that is a lagoon which would be maybe 100 meters by 30 meters or 40 meters and maybe 4 meters deep. But at the other end of the scale, there are farmers that need lagoons which are 10 meters, 15 meters long, maybe 10 meters wide, and that will give them 600 or 800 cubic or maybe 1,000 cubic meters. a cow will take maybe 100 litres a day. So that means that those cows have water for 2 months or 3 months, should they need it. And if the water is collected properly and filtered and looked after, then they have quality water to drink. The same water can be used to irrigate the fields, to improve the grass. It can be used to irrigate the small greenhouses. So if there's an opportunity to collect water, whether it's a large plantation or whether it's a small farmer, why not take the opportunity? It can pay for itself in less city water being used. It can pay for itself in the quality of the produce, whether it be livestock or whether it be fruit, and it can pay for itself in peace of mind for the farmer, because he's not chasing trying to find water.
¿Cómo hacen para evitar esa evaporación y como esta agua está retenida?
Hola amigos, soy Óscar Osorio Casal del programa El Agro Ahora, que se transmite en nuestro canal de YouTube y en nuestra cuenta de Facebook como El Agro Ahora. Ahora podrás escuchar nuestra retransmisión los sábados de 4:30 a 5 a.m. y los domingos de 5 a 5:30 a.m. a través de las frecuencias de la gran cadena exitosa. La exitosa siempre arriba.
Preparémonos para el futuro. El Agro Ahora, con Óscar Osorio Casal. En Panamá, cuando se trata de importar, sabemos lo importante que es contar con un socio de confianza. Con más de 20 años de experiencia, conocemos a la perfección los procesos aduaneros desde China, Estados Unidos y a nivel mundial. Nos especializamos en agilizar el papeleo y los impuestos. Expertos en insumos industriales y maquinaria para el sector agro. Porque sabemos que son vitales para tu negocio. Nos aseguramos de que tus importaciones lleguen a tiempo y sin complicaciones, brindándote asesoría personalizada y un servicio ágil. Simplifica tus importaciones. Confía en nuestro servicio como corredores de aduanas en Panamá. Contáctanos ahora mismo. Con nosotros, tus importaciones son nuestra prioridad. Nilsa Domínguez, corredores de aduanas.
Lucas, ¿tú has visto mis uvas del desayuno?
Uvas. Pero si ayer fui al 99 y traje frutas.
No se me antoja.
Y jamón, pavo, salchicha.
¿Estoy a dieta?
Pan, queso crema, mermelada.
Ayer comí eso.
Parece que me voy a tener que comer el tamal que te trajo tu mamá.
No. Yo voy al súper de una y vengo. Por suerte me queda cerquita.
Super 99. De que te conviene, te conviene.
Oye, ¿y mi jugo dónde está?
Buscando siempre lo mejor para los animales en su finca, les presentamos Espantar, único baño que se puede utilizar en caballos. Adicionalmente sirve para fumigar las instalaciones. Musk, baño con composición reforzada y aceite de citronela, que funciona como repelente, que refleja la baja toxicidad y amable con el medio ambiente. Predation F y Rum, triple combinación efectiva e innovadora para el control de moscas y garrapatas, y Rum para mayor efectividad. Encuentra estos productos en todas nuestras tiendas y nuestra tienda online. Fertilizantes superiores, la solución agropecuaria.
OIRSA, liderado por el Dr. Gilberto Elías Real Castillo, desempeña un papel clave en la protección de la ganadería en Panamá. Trabajan en puertos y fronteras para prevenir la entrada de plagas y enfermedades. Colaboran con el Ministerio de Desarrollo Agropecuario y el sector productivo para garantizar la seguridad alimentaria del país. Su labor es fundamental y ha sido reconocido con la medalla Becerro de Oro de la Asociación Nacional de Ganaderos de Panamá, otorgado el domingo 27 de agosto en Asamblea General Ordinaria en la ciudad de Aguadulce, Coclé.
Bienvenidos a Reimex, una plataforma de información y servicios que promueve el comercio hortofrutícola a nivel mundial. Podrás conocer en detalle las compañías de tu interés y ver sus relaciones de negocios, revisar controversias entre compañías de la industria y solicitar informes comerciales. Aquí encontrarás registros de exportadores e importadores de los principales mercados mundiales que te permitirán expandir tu negocio con tranquilidad a través de información 100% confiable. Además, podrás acceder a nuestro marketplace, donde podrás comercializar de manera segura tus productos con los demás miembros de la comunidad Reimex. ¿Y tú aún no nos conoces? Ingresa a reimex.com y lleva tus exportaciones e importaciones al siguiente nivel.
En su finca, Luis tiene algo que quiere vender. Pongamos el ejemplo de 15 vacas. Raúl en su finca necesita comprar animales. Entonces, Luis tiene algo que quiere vender y Raúl tiene algo que necesita comprar. Para eso llegó agroenlace.com.pa, la plataforma ideal para conectar productores con oportunidades de negocio. agroenlace.com.pa, la forma más fácil de comprar y vender en el sector agropecuario. Ingresa ya en www.agroenlace.com.pa.
Amigos, soy Óscar Osorio Casal del programa El Agro Ahora, que se transmite en las plataformas de Facebook y YouTube. Ahora podrás escuchar su retransmisión en los 1410 kHz de Radio Mensabé, los sábados de 7 a 7:30. No se engañe, compa, los esperamos.
Preparémonos para el futuro. El Agro Ahora, con Óscar Osorio Casal.
It's an interesting question about recirculating water or storage of water and how long you can store for. It always depends on the source of the water. All of the closed systems that we have breathers on them, so it allows the water to breathe a little bit. But if there's a requirement to aerate the water can be taken in and back in. Can be taken out and put back in again. With a little bit of an air gap in order to aerate it. In terms of algae, if you have flexible tanks, if you have closed tanks, you won't have an algae situation because there is no light to support the growth of algae. Of course, you won't have evaporation because the condensation will go to the top and will come back in again. So it's really a focus on the quality of water in the first place as to how long you can store it. But there's no reason why you can't store for 2 or 3 months.
¿Cuáles son los diferentes tipos de captación de agua para formar los abrevaderos?
Well, Oscar, that's interesting because water not only falls from the sky. The traditional way has been to pump out of a river or pump out of a well. Now that means there's large, when I travel I go to very large growing areas like in California for example, and there's massive extraction from the rivers. Now that's having a detrimental effect on the environment, on wildlife. The alternative to that is to dig boreholes and put pumps down into the ground and build a well. The difficulty with this is that the aquifer, which is the underground water, is getting deeper. I was talking with somebody in California 20 years ago and they were going 200 meters down. Now they are going 400 meters down. I was talking with a farmer in Panama today. He's a farmer with 20 cows, he has some pigs, he has some land to irrigate, he has a small lagoon, and he is actually pumping for, I think it was 84 meters down in order to get water. Now, that's quite incredible. And at the same time, the other source of water is city water or mains water. Now, the difficulty with mains water is that we have a growing population, we have a growing infrastructure, and city water is expensive.
Pero hay un tipo de combinación en donde se está usando el agua tanto para el ser humano como para los proyectos, porque también se habla de la potabilización de esta agua para comunidades muy alejadas. Es correcto. y quizás pudiera ser alternativas para pequeños productores en todo el arco seco. Captar agua, obviamente hacer muchos abrevaderos, pareciera que es la solución en el mundo y sobre todo para microfincas, minifincas, que ahí es donde creo que podríamos hacer la diferencia de que cada productor haga un programa de captación de finca. ¿Cuál es tu opinión?
Okay, Oscar, what I've seen this week with small farmers is that they have multiple uses for water storage or for the water that's being stored. As I said earlier, they can water their fields, they can improve the grass quality for their livestock, they can feed their livestock with water, they can feed their chickens and their pigs with water. Not only that, they could, if they so desired, they can also irrigate their plants in their gardens or their vegetable gardens to feed themselves, or with vegetables as a crop. Small lagoons can be used in many ways. Now, if there's a large farm, which is say 20 or 30 hectares, it might mean that there are lagoons in different places, depending on the need of that farm. That you could have one lagoon here for your livestock, one lagoon here for your orchard. You could even use one lagoon here, perhaps to take water to use in your washing process or in your toilets or something like this. So, and it can all be rainwater. It can all be recycled water. There is a massive resource out there which we're not benefiting from, and we should be using it to greater effect.
Para terminar, yo sé que hay tantas cosas y tú hablaste mucho con los productores, pero al final los acuíferos en el mundo se están cada día secando, hay menos agua y el agua es un recurso vital para la humanidad. Nosotros en Panamá, a pesar de que tenemos mucha agua, necesitamos preservar el recurso más valioso que es el agua y sobre todo no solo para los productores sino para el canal de Panamá. ¿Cuál es tu opinión de manera global acerca del agua y de la necesidad en el mundo?
I think it's true that we really have a problem with water in the world at the moment. We have scarcity in some areas, we have unexpected rain events, we have large erosion. In the Panama Canal, you have a shortage of fresh water, which means you can't put very large ships through. There are a number of issues. However, the positive thing is we're talking about it. The positive thing is we are taking steps. Control of water, control of the resource is essential. We should be protecting the water that we have by not putting too much fertilizer on our fields and not contaminating the precious resource that we have. We should be using more natural products in our fields, such as natural cow waste back onto fertilize the fields. The aquifers should be protected. We should not be extracting. We should protect those because they are the life, they are the blood of the planet. So I think that we need to focus on water management as a resource, the use of water, and manage it in such a way that we don't waste it. So within greenhouses we have micro irrigation. Within greenhouses we can recirculate the water that's already there and put it back through the same system. Within agriculture we shouldn't just leave fields being blasted with irrigation all the time. We should manage the quantity of water that we put out there. We should manage the scarcity of water and be very careful with it as a resource. As I said, the positive thing is we're discussing it, we're talking about it, we're taking steps. But these steps need to be taken a little bit quicker in order to protect the blood of the planet.
Simon, realmente agradecido porque hayas estado con nosotros en el programa El Agro Ahora y realmente ha sido un privilegio y esperamos que vuelvas a Panamá y que podamos seguir trabajando con los productores. Amigos, soy Óscar Osorio Casal y este fue un programa especial con Simon Jones traído a Panamá justamente por los amigos de Panamá Rainwater. Saludos.
Preparémonos para el futuro. El agro ahora, con Óscar Osorio Casal.